to day 3 of ELT Week. Today we have 4 sessions delivered from our colleagues Gisela Matienzo, who's Peruvian, but currently living in the UK, Romy Rivera, who's based in Cusco, Christian Chiroque joining us from Piura, and Lucia Murillo from Lima. We're sure you will have a very productive day.
Good morning and welcome to the third day of the ELT Week Perú 2026. Before we begin, let me remind you that safeguarding is a priority for the British Council, so you are welcome and encouraged to share your comments and questions, making sure that you maintain respectful and positive communication, and remembering not to share any personal or sensitive information. Please note that harmful, violent, or inappropriate comments will not be tolerated, and you can report a concern through the email contact where posting in the chat or in the form you can access through the QR where are showing now on the screen. Our goal is to enrich your teaching practice and provide tools for the development of the education in our country. If you participate in the session throughout the entire week, you are entitled to receive a certificate of attendance. At the end of the week, after we finish the last session, we will post a link to a survey for you to answer and register your participation. Please make sure that your name, surname, and email address are correctly spelled. Otherwise, you will not get your certificate. For our session today, let's welcome Gisela Matienzo Aguilar. She is an ESL teacher and training at Kaplan Oxford with 14 years experience in school and language centers in Peru and the UK. She holds a Master in Leadership and Management distinctions from the University of Reading and a diploma in executive coaching. She coaches, mentors, and trains teachers to create a student-centered, technology-enhanced, and creative class. Her innovative idea was featured in the Fire Chat at the English UK in March 2025 and highlighted in the conference 8K Takeaways. In 2026, her proposal on a student-centered classroom will be presented at English UK in London. Welcome, Gisela.
Thank you very much, Heidi, for such a lovely presentation or introduction of myself. I would also like to thank the British Council for this unique opportunity. And to all of you behind the screen, I would like to say thank you for joining this session. About the power of technology in the classroom to spark creative learning thinking. In today's session, we are going to explore 3 free, user-friendly technological tools that will help your students enhance their creativity, promote collaboration and teamwork inside and outside the classroom. But before that, I have a question for you. On a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being very frequently, how often do you use technology in the classroom? So please tell me in the comments and I will read all your answers. Thank you. Okay, so I want to see if it's 1, 2, 5. Thank you. Somebody says, welcome, Ms. Gisela. Thank you very much. Okay, project videos, Clayder, Percy 4, wow, great. Delia, thank you, 5, amazing. Good morning. Some people are still joining, perfect. Every class, great. Jan, Jan says every class, amazing. 3, 5, Mariana, I think, yeah, good morning. 2, Marlene Kispe, great, excellent. 2 hours, Maria. Okay, 4, 5, always, Jimmy Riojas, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. Excellent. And then we have another question for you. What technological tools do you use to enhance teamwork inside and outside the classroom? So I would like to see what you say about that. Often. Good. Okay. Still answers coming from the first question. Hello, Rosanna. Jenny joining there. Good. So what do you use inside and outside the classroom? 2. Thank you, Juana. That was the first question, I think. Yeah, thank you. Okay, good morning. Good. Jean-Pierre is joining. Wheels, okay. Kahoot. Kahoot inside. I suppose it's inside the classroom. Perfect. Thank you, Magda. Okay. Wheels. I don't know that one. Quizzes. Okay, I love that one as well. Thank you, Evelyn. Kahoot. Yeah, we all love Kahoot, don't we? Kahoot, perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so today's agenda, we are going to have first theory behind practice. I think that's really important in everything we do as teachers. Number 2, tech resources used in tasks. Well, we are going to focus on 3 in particular and in 2 tasks as well. And then number 3, the final reflection. Yeah. Okay, word wall. Oh, wow, word wall, yes. Basil, thank you. Thank you for the answers. Evelyn, Clayton, good. Word wall, yes. We love word wall, don't we? Okay, this is the last one for you. Tell me in the chat, are you familiar with TBL, task-based learning approach? Just drop there a yes or a no. Thank you. Okay. Wheel, okay, still answers coming from the previous question. Kahoot, word wall, perfect. No, okay, that's all right. Today is the day. Analia, thank you. Yes, okay, good, Kathy. Yes, thank you. Yeah, maybe just the names in it, task-based learning, but then you see it and you're like, yeah, I've done that, or I do that on a daily basis. No, okay, I haven't used TBL, okay, yet. I like to say yes, yet at the end, when my students say, I haven't done something yet at the very end. Yes, yes, Mariani, Evelyn, perfect, good, you are my TBL gang. Good, perfect, thank you. Yes, okay, good. Well, just quickly here, what is TBL? Yeah, so it's an approach where learners are given interactive tasks to complete. Yeah? And it promotes student-centered learning. And this is what I love from TBL. I think students, they actually feel empowered here. We speak less and students do the talking most of the time. Teachers become facilitators. Yes, we take these back seats and enhances critical thinking and collaborative skills, which is today's session about. Okay, why does TBL work well when integrating technology in the classroom? Well, first, let's listen to what some researchers say. First, using interactive technologies encourage students to participate in a rich, co-creative language learning experience and equip learners with key competences. We all know that in today's world, students have to use, whether they like it or not, technology on a daily basis. And here is where we support students so they feel like they are also working and developing these skills. The second one is the integration of technology has the potential to enhance engagement, foster collaboration, and promote a practical use of language in authentic contexts. So this is something I love from task-based learning, because I think whatever the students do, they can relate it to their own reality, to what they see, again, in their own context, in their own cities, where they live. Finally, technological tools enhance their learning experience and foster creativity and writing skills. So there's lots going on when we use task-based learning. Okay, and here is something that you might be familiar with, and is this project that started back in, pandemic, COVID-19, that is called Aprendo en Casa. Estos proyectos buscan que los estudiantes usen el inglés en situaciones reales, fomentando la autonomía y la creatividad desde el hogar o la escuela. And if you have been, following this, you might have seen some projects that are, similar to the ones I here: opening a bank, write a magazine, create a comic, and many other projects that Minedu tried to encourage, for them to be done in the classrooms in state-run schools mostly. Okay, good. Now, over to you again. Tell me in the chat, which of the following are you most familiar with? Canva, Padlet, ChatGPT, or all of them? So if it's all of them, just put all, please. Thank you. ChatGPT, yay, Jean-Pierre, good. ChatGPT, that was quick, eh? Good, thank you. Okay. All, perfect, Kathy, yes, good. I think Kathy was the one that says TBL as well. Yeah, I think she's my kind of, teacher. Good, okay, Canva, perfect. ChatGPT, all, Canva, ChatGPT. Okay, hello, Mark, good, yes, just joining, hello. ChatGPT, perfect. Canva and ChatGPT, good, very good. Canva a little, perfect, yes, good. Okay, good, perfect. Thank you very much. So these are the three, I would say free because they also have a paid version, but the free and user-friendly technological tools that I was talking right at the beginning, when I mentioned the goal of this session. Where are we going, right? What we are getting from this session. So remember them because we are going to see them again later. Right. So let's jump into task 1. Yeah. So here I generally teach advanced level learners here in Oxford, and I have this rich melting pot of nationalities. So I have lots of students coming from different backgrounds as well. So it's a really rich class, I would say. So here, what I told the students to do is to create a new college for Oxford University. Yeah? So usually when they come, they want to see the colleges, of course. And then I ask them to create a college. Yeah? So I put them in groups, 4, 5, and then I ask them to do that. Of course, we had a target language here. We have been learning passive reporting verbs. This is a C1, C2 class. And then they had to use all the creativity to, of course, work in teams and try to draft everything first. And this is important because they need to draft everything first. And here is where collaboration happens, negotiation, mediation skills that the students need to put into practice that actually are transferable skills that they can use that back in real life, right? Outside of our classrooms in the future. And that's what we want, yes, for them to be able to do both using English. And so they were in groups, they were working together. And here's the thing, I usually use Padlet, yes, Padlet for them to have my class basically. So where I work, we have gone green, which means we are not able to print on a daily basis. Yes, we can only print 1% of our work. Then the students mostly work with their phones, tablets, computers on a daily basis in our classrooms. So I use Padlet where I, so I can share everything with them, like these success criteria that you can see here on this slide. So I gave them these success criteria where they knew what they were going to do. And because this is a big, I would say, project, this was a 3-hour lesson class, by the way. However, you could make it into a week, a week's project if you want, or maybe shorter as well, or maybe as homework as well. It will work really well. I have done it as homework as well before, and it also worked really. And that is outside of the classroom. Like we said, we are going to learn how to include technology inside, but also outside of the classroom. So both ways, it works really well. Now, I gave them this Padlet with the criteria, right? So invent a new college for Oxford University, design its coat of arms, invent its own traditions. Who is the master of this college? Yes, the fellow members, yes, the alumni, right? The meals, the sports, the subjects that are studied in this college. Culture, games, music, motto, what are the rules of this college? Yeah? Then I put and include at least 4 sentences using passive reporting verbs. And here is where these projects help you make also, to maybe grade the task for some of your learners. We always have these students with mixed abilities, yeah, so or levels, mixed levels as well. Yeah. So then even when I teach advanced, I still have some students who are C2 level and some others who are just starting advanced level, which is C1 level. So still I always put at least, so then they can say, okay, 4, I can do 4, but they can do more if they want to. So it's really great to do that. And then, use verbs as well that we have seen yesterday. So you can see how they can reuse everything that they have been learning throughout the week, or maybe last week, last month, everything comes really into this project because there's so much that they have to do. It says, make sure everyone is involved in the presentation. Yeah, so this one is separate, but anyway. And then use ChatGPT to generate your coat of arms and make sure it reflects the college you have designed. Here is, they are using Padlet to follow the criteria that I have shared, right? So for example, if it's homework, they can go to Padlet, check the criteria, what is something that they need to include, so they can do that checklist. Yes, done. Coat of arms, done. This is done. This is done. And of course, you can see it's a really complex one. However, you could, decrease the amount of things that you're asking them. It could be less as well. It could be just maybe, what are the subjects that are studied here? Who's the master? Maybe somebody famous. Sometimes students put like Harry Potter is the master, or I don't know, Harry Styles, Taylor Swift. Anybody is creative, right? It's a very creative thing, and they have that freedom as well to come up with whatever they want to include. But you can make it as big as you want to, or as short as you would like to, according to the level of your students. Now, here about the use of ChatGPT, I told them that later. So I included that later because I don't know you, but sometimes students, they are tempted, and I think we all are, right? Tempted to say, let's put it into ChatGPT and then we have everything. So just here, something that is key is for them to do all this preparation, all this drafting. Yeah. So they need to do all that first. Make sure they do it, right? So if it is homework, for example, make sure they do all the drafting in the class. Yeah. So then you can monitor, you can provide feedback, immediate feedback, or collect notes for delayed feedback. Yeah. So because again, as I said, it allows you to take a back seat, yes, when they are doing all that process of thinking and, agreeing, disagreeing, what ideas, what to put in the college. And you are there around and supporting the students who might need more help. And that is rich, everything. So the drafting is the heart here. Yes, so they draft and then they will use technology to, again, it could be as homework. In my case, my students, they did it in class as well. So the drafting and putting everything together. Now, if your students, maybe, they are lower levels, you could give them only one technological tool to use. It could be Padlet, it could be Canva. However, in my case, if it's a higher level, class, I just told them use Canva use Google Documents, for example, because they can still collaborate. Everybody's putting their ideas, everybody's writing, or Padlet. And then what we had, for example, here, you can see all the notes. These students, they used Google Documents, and I saw them all with their laptops, and they're chatting and talking and saying, okay, add this, add that, copy here, copy there, and they were all talking and, you know, and sharing. So these notes are all the drafting that they had and they were putting together. And here they're talking about vampires and fairies and werewolves and invisible creatures, you know, all this amazing creativity that takes place here by using technology. You can see the coat of arms, yes, was generated from ChatGPT, and they did that. And something here that I would like to highlight is that by using ChatGPT, you know, students, and I hear them when they are talking, is like how rich that prompts need to be in order to have something that they actually say, this is what I have thought of, or I have envisioned, right? So I have this in my head. Is this something that ChatGPT is giving me? Yeah, so this is my draft, and this is my product. This is actually something I want. And here is where critical thinking plays a key role as well. Because then they are thinking, what do we want? You know, what is good for us that we are going to be, as a group, we are going to be happy. So then they got this final result, this coat of arms. And as you can see, it can show the fairies and the werewolves, you know, and invisible creatures, and so all together, and it was called Eclipse Era College. So that was the name of the college. And then, so here in this task, so mainly they use ChatGPT and Padlet for them to create, to work on this task. Now, again, I think I have mentioned it already, but the benefits for students really is just huge. It's so big. You know, there's so much that the students are doing here using technology, creativity, and they are feeling empowered because they are the ones who are doing the job. Here is not just teaching. If I go back, I don't know if I can go back. So yes, here is not just about passive reporting verbs. That was something that they had to include, but you can see how rich this project is, how much can be going on in terms of communication, right? So, and that is something that we do in real life, right? Whenever we work on a project, the project has a goal, but we use so much language to achieve that goal. Yeah, and it's the same that happens here. And it works really well with higher level learners because they want to feel stretched. They want to feel challenged, right? Sometimes I have students who are like, why are you here? Like, your English is perfect. You know, you're German, you're Swiss. Like, why do you need English? But they still feel challenged. They still feel like there is a sense of progress, right? There is still something like, I have achieved something. You know, either in terms of creativity, finding out like, wow, I can think outside of the box to solve a problem. Or, you know, wow, I have my technological skills are really good. I help my friends. I help people, you know, I work together. So there's so much going on. And this is another one. So there was a group, and I put this at the end because, as I said, it was mainly Padlet and ChatGPT for the images. Again, you could do it, you know, on a piece of paper, but ChatGPT, I think, really helps you to manage time in that case. Yeah, so you just retrieve the image, and that helps. So this group, it was quite interesting because this group decided to create everything, you know, just do the drafting and everything by using Canva. And I just let them, because yes, we can say use ChatGPT and Padlet. However, if they have this, you know, intrinsic motivation that comes from them and say, you know what, I can use Canva. I am familiar with Canva. We are all familiar with Canva. Let's do it. Let them do it. Yeah? So and then again, that is giving them a sense of choice. You know, that I can choose what I want to do, how I want to do it. Of course, still following the criteria, but I can have this little thing that is using Canva instead of Padlet. And it worked really well. As you can see here, this was a group of Italians. I think I had Italians, Chileans here, and Mexicans, if I'm not wrong, but different ages as well, because, you know, I have really different ages, and you too as well. I'm sure here we have some, you know, teachers who work in English centers. So you have a mix of ages, right? And they work really well. And as you can see here, this little picture, that's me. Yeah. So they decided to choose me to be the master of the college. Anyway, I just let them. I said, that's fine, you can do it. And you can see as well here, they can use Canva to, you know, do it from home. So they don't need to be together. They can do it from home. Everybody connects. Everybody can see what they can do, and, you know, what they are editing. They can distribute the roles, and everybody's getting something together. Right, okay, so now we're going to move to task number 2. Task number 2 again involves Padlet. Yes, I absolutely love Padlet. I think you can tell. The reason why I ask the students to do this using Padlet is because here, well, I live in Oxford, but in London, there is this museum that every year they organize the wildlife photographer of the year. And I think students usually, you know, they go to museums, they get to see things, and then I told them, why not, right? Museums in the UK are free. So I told them, why don't you go have a look? And also, why don't we create our own competition? Yeah. So why don't we do it? And then they did. They say, yes, let's do our own competition. And again, you can see here the criteria that I gave them. Yeah. So choose the picture taken by your group. I will explain this in a minute. How I did it. In this class, I was working on emphatic structures, yes, and vivid and descriptive language, colorful language. Huh? So when I read something, I feel something, right? So that type of language, and emphatic language as well. So it was grammar, vocabulary, lots of things going on there. As you can see, it's a project, yeah? So then it is building up towards this. And again, this one, I usually do it on a Thursday because I have already, you know, given them lots of language Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So on a Thursday, and then they are able to use that. And of course, all the language they already have with them. So here you can see this in much more detail. Yeah. So we have, as I said, a language inversion, yes, the type of grammar that we only teach, I think, in advanced level, yeah, so that was something they were learning, emphatic language, collocations, and of course, they can recycle language here as well. You can see how this was a competition, and it was using Padlet, yeah. So I created a Padlet, I gave them the QR code, so then they could all access, and they could all put their pictures there in pairs, and then they all write the descriptions, you know. But again, all the planning first happened, you know, them communicating, negotiating again, you know, clarifying meaning, and thinking how they could win this competition, yes. But again, connected to the main competition that takes place every year in London. So again, it's authentic, isn't it? Because again, they are living here in the UK. So they get to see these things. So it needs to be something that your students can see in their own reality, because that makes learning much more meaningful, right? They are like, oh yeah, right, we have a supermarket. Yes, oh yes, we have a cinema. So something that they can see, so they can also feel that they are taking part in that. And then I'll explain here about how they did it. First, in my case, I asked my students to go out and take pictures in the garden, basically, where I work. But you could tell your students to bring one picture of nature. not people, because this is the wildlife photographer of the year. Some of my students were chasing squirrels, because we have lots of squirrels around, or birds, I don't know. So yeah, they don't have to chase animals, but if they can capture, something, but otherwise just nature, a flower, a tree, anything, not people, and then they can bring it to the class. Yeah. So that is to save time, basically. So then you can ask them to bring it ready. Number 2, this is what I did, yes. Alternatively, take them to the garden and give them 5 minutes to take pictures. Why 5 minutes? Before you send them, tell them, what is something you would like to take a picture of? You want a tree? You want a flower? What do you want? So then they quickly agree as a group, and then they go. Here, I didn't put them in 4s or in 6. I put them usually in, in pairs. I think it works better, but you could make them be, in bigger groups as well. It's fine. And you could make the competition bigger as well. So not just one picture, it could be more than 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures. And then it gets, more. So, and then after that, they go, they take a picture, they come back, and then they select a favorite one. So they all check. And again, here is critical thinking, because they are like, okay, so this one, why not choose this one? Why this one is good? Why this one is ideal? Why this one is the best one, right? And then they are all agreeing, disagreeing. Again, as you can see, moving away from maybe my target language, because again, it's real life. This is how we do it, right? And they should do it in English as well. And then after that, you choose at least 2 pictures. Yes, for bigger groups, choose 4 or 6 pictures, as I said. Again, this was advanced level, learners. Yes. Number 4, check criteria for target language. Yes. So it was the criteria that I mentioned before. Yes. So here, yeah. So including at least 4 emphatic structures learned today. Yeah. So again, making it achievable, right? So not just a bit vague when you use this. No. How many at least? Yes, and I usually tell my students, if you use at least 4, I will be happy. If you use more than 4, I'll be extra happy. So, but 4 is good. 4 is progress. 4 is achievement. And then they have to have a look, and and then make sure they are doing everything that they have the criteria. And then students work collaboratively to upload everything to Padlet. Yeah. So again, this could be homework. Yeah. So you could ask your students to do it. So they could have maybe the picture in school, or maybe bring it. You can adapt this activity as as I don't know, as you would like to do it. Like really, you can just play with it. You can do it. It could be homework. It could be done, in class. And then it just really works. I have tried in different ways, and they have all been successful. And then we have discussions before voting. This one is something that I have included. As you can see, there is no number there, because this is extra, yes? So using technology, I think, in the classroom can also involve other classrooms, yeah? So what I usually do, if it is a competition like this, just to add to the drama, I just ask my colleagues, and I tell them, this is what my students have been working on. Would you like to help me? So I will go to your class, and if you could show the QR code on your screen, so your students, can vote. They can vote on a piece of paper. If they have a phone, they can scan it, and they can give it a like, a little heart, like social media. They can give a thumbs up, or maybe stars, anything. So, but if they don't, then they can use just a piece of paper and anonymously vote. You can do it with one classroom, with another classroom. And yeah, so that is what, you could do. So, and then again, it increases engagement, yes, because you can tell your students that. And you can ask your students to, and this is important, you could ask your students to upload the pictures, so the one that you are going to show in another class, anonymously. Yeah. Usually do it all anonymously. So put it on Padlet anonymously, because that also boosts the confidence of, okay, so nobody's going to know and I can just do it, And also because some people might know, the students say, oh yeah, I'm going to vote for you because you're my mate. And the idea is that they vote because it's the best for them. and yes, so that is what they could do. And again, here is, using Padlet, maybe, of course, in their phones to take pictures. Now, moving towards the end, hopefully I'm not speaking too fast, and everything is, maybe you got an idea there, I really hope, or please, otherwise let me know in the comments as well. How to use Canva on Padlet. Yeah? So first, as I said, you can pay, of course, for them, but personally, I use the free version, and I think the students do the same. Yes, and Padlet, the same thing. Canva, you just create your, of course, your, sorry. So you just create your account, and then after that, you are going to share. So as you can see here, the arrow, the first arrow, you just click the share. Once you click the share, you're going to have this menu, and then you can click in anyone with a link. Here, you can can edit. That's key, because then when you send it to your students or when they create it themselves, you can show them how to. To be honest, generally students know. They find out how to do it. It's a new generation. My students have taught me so much, and I'm like, wow, they just go for it, right? We are the ones who are like sometimes doubting, but they really know how to do it. But if, your students are little, maybe, a bit young learners, you could create it yourself and then send it for them, and then they can all contribute there, for example. Yeah? So you could send different links to the groups, so then all the groups can connect from home, or maybe they are, using the computers in the classroom, and then they can all connect as a group, and they are all collaborating at the same time. But make sure you activate can edit, because otherwise it's hard. They cannot, post the pictures or anything that they have there. So I would say put just can edit. As you can see here, you have three options. You have can edit, can comment, can view. Yes. So if it is view, they cannot do anything basically. Yes. They will just see the slide or whatever you're sharing, but they will not be able to do anything with it. So try to, click there. Please remember that. So, and again, is the free version. Yeah. And then Padlet. Padlet has my heart because I use it on a daily basis. All my classes are on Padlet, every single thing. And it's just a no-brainer. It's so easy to use. And again, you can use the free version. Here, you create your account as a teacher, because it asks you whether you're a student, or a teacher, and then you choose a teacher. You create your account, and then you have, up to 5 accounts, like 5 classes that you can create. And then once you create your class, you can personalize your class, you can change the background of your class, anything, and your students can do the same. So when you share it with your students, you just click share, as you can see this arrow here. So you click share then, and then you can change it to writer. Yes, to writer. So it means the students can all write and upload anything that they would like to. Yeah. So it's really, really good. And then, of course, you can invite them. Yes, there is a link to invite them. Yes, you can give them a QR code if you want to. You can give them a link if you would like to. So there is, many ways how to. You can see here the QR code as well. One thing that, that is that I would say that I love the most about Padlet is because you can literally create or plan your lessons in seconds. It takes nothing really to add and post from your phone. You don't even need your computer for that. You need just your phone to plan so many things on Padlet. It's just fantastic. And then, another thing is that students they can record, if you, for example, create podcasts, they can record, they can make a video, they can use AI from Padlet, inside Padlet. So they don't need to get out of Padlet. They can record, they can, make podcasts, they can upload documents, they can create little slides, like in one picture, they can add up to 5 pictures when they upload. So there is so much really going on that the students can do. And again, when you share with other people, they can give likes, so there is option. It's like social media, you can give a heart, a happy face, so much. So the students really, really enjoy it. And I have used it again with different ages. Even I think that I would say that I had a mature student who was from Argentina, and she was 70, bless her, and then she still enjoyed it, right? So I have tried with so many, I would say, ages from 16 up to 70. But I'm sure also, you have younger ones and you try to show them how to, they will really enjoy it. So there's so much happening inside Padlet. Okay. And again, here, I think we are all familiar with AI. So here is more about, as I mentioned it before, just encouraging your students. But if you do not encourage it, they will realize themselves that they need to give ChatGPT rich prompts. Yeah? So here is, for example, a prompt copied from the college that I created at the very beginning when I showed you. Hopefully you remember. And then, they were not happy with it. They had to do it again and again and again until the very end when they said, right, this is good. Right. So again, critical thinking there, yes, and working as a team to decide, yes, if it's good, no, and then for them to choose the best one. So again, rich prompts, right? Your students will use it in that way. So rich prompts, and they are also again typing in English. Yes? So that's what they should be doing. And again, I don't think I need to explain a lot of ChatGPT. I think we are really familiar. But again, you have a free version, and there is also a paid version, right? The free version works most of the time. Just make sure to tell your students to plan their prompts, because it can be limited. Yeah? So they can't be, just asking and asking and asking, because then it will tell us tomorrow, and they need to wait until tomorrow. So just tell them, plan what are you going to ask, and then that is good as well, because then they're like, they need to use ChatGPT, I would say, in a smart way. Yes. Okay, this is our final reflection. Tools like Canva, Padlet, and ChatGPT become powerful when they help students to spark their creativity. Yes, let's encourage that, please. Yes, I think I don't know in Peru or from the country you're joining as well. I know there are other countries joining, but we can see now that wherever we go, they are selling us story. They are not selling you the phone. They are selling you a story that convinces you to buy the phone. So we have to work on the students' creativity. We need to encourage it. We need to spark that no matter the age. Make choices and build together. Yeah? So when should I use technology, right? So to choose the project, yeah, so something that will really engage your learners, that will keep them talking more and you less, right? To decrease your TTT, yeah? So they will be the ones that will be like, no, I don't want to go home. Oh, wow, time flies. Yes, that is the feedback that usually, I hear from students. And develop their critical thinking. We need that, yes. Transferable skills again, right? So something that they will find beneficial. So in English, I am doing things that actually I can use in my future when I go to uni, when I go to work. Yeah. So, and they then see it meaningful. They see it like there is purpose. This is useful. What I'm doing is useful, right? And that's what we want. Okay, so before I finish, I would like you to just finish in the chat, please. If you could tell me which one do you think you would start using more? Because I know many of you said, yes, I use them all. Which one would you start using more? And and that's it really. So which one would you like to use more with projects? Yeah, similar to the ones that I have shown. Okay, so I've tried to read your comments. Yeah, there were people still joining. Hello from Colombia. I'm sorry, Juanjo, I'm just finishing. This is our reality nowadays, and using these tools are very important. And the knowledge to the student will grow up very fast. Thank you, Kelvin. Yes, exactly right. Yes, so moving away, I think we have our books and we have all that. And that is good, right? But that should be the backbone of our lessons. It shouldn't be all our lessons, yeah? So it should be more about really sparking that creative part of our students. I think we can support the students given reasons to spend time making something really good. Exactly, yes. As I said, just telling them, right, you love Harry Potter, no matter the age here, they were all about Harry Potter. Let's create our own college. And let's imagine that, and think about Harry Potter and think, how you could create a college that is similar to the college where they film Harry Potter. So it could be anything, really. I think we can support the student given reason to spend time, good, nice information, advice, and tools to keep on using in our TLP. Percy, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, very good. So yes, I think we are going to have some minutes for questions. So if you have any questions, please. And then here we have, the sources I used. And then thank you very much for listening. That's a QR code for my LinkedIn. So if you want to connect, that would be really nice. And I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, Heidi, I think you are talking, but...
Sorry. Thank you, Stella, for such a wonderful presentation. We will now move on the question and answer sessions. If you have any question, please feel free to write them in the chat. While we wait for everyone to type, I have some questions for you. First, does Padlet offer a limited amount of class?
Oh yes, yeah, that's actually something that I should say. Padlet, usually when you don't pay, it gives you the opportunity to create 5 lessons only. However, a trick that I have been using for over 3 years now is to archive your Padlets. Like chat, like WhatsApp. Like when you don't want to see a conversation, maybe, and you archive it. So, and then it's the same with Padlet. So you just click it, click the class that you maybe have finished or the project that the students have done already, and you just archive it. Yeah. And then once you archive it, you free space to create more. And that's what I have been doing a lot. Then one great thing is that you can save projects. And in the future, when you teach other students, you can bring them back. So when you archive them, they don't get deleted. Actually, you can bring them back. And then, and that's how you do it. So all the time, that's my life. I archive, and then I bring it back, and I archive again, and I bring it back. And, and I have lots of material in that way, or lots of examples to show to my students. Thank you very much, Miss Cathy. It was a meaningful and brilliant presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Myla, for joining. Thank you, Caesar. Marlene, thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Gisela. Also, do students have to register on Padlet to able to use it?
Yes, so the students do not need to create, Padlet or Canva. They don't really have to, unless you give them the freedom. If they are, for example, teenagers, then you could give them the freedom to say, just use Padlet, and and then they do it. They create their own accounts, the same thing. It's fine. But if you don't want them to create their own accounts because they are quite little, or or safeguarding, I don't know, for any reason, then you just share with them a QR code or a link, and then they don't have to, have an account for them to be able to work using those tools. So, and that is something I like as well from it. So they just use it. Yeah. There is a question, I think. What's your tip for teachers who are not too technological and have never used these tools? I would say practice at home first. Practice first, I would say. I would say start with Padlet. You will love it, I swear. You will love Padlet. It's such an easy tool. And usually when I share it with my colleagues, they can't believe it. Like, I didn't know that it was so easy to use. So I would say first create it, you explore it, you create your own class and do it. Believe me, your students will get it so fast. I have seen it with any age. You just give them the QR code and they know what to do. They already, if they don't know, they find out. So really, it's just and just being also vulnerable. I think Pedro just saying, guys, we are going to try this new tool. Okay, it might not work really well, but let's give it a go. And we all are going to learn. I promise you, it's going to help you in your learning. So let's give it a go. Let's try. And you can try with something really little. It could be just, for example, post here, how do you feel today, anonymously. Yes, I put a little, I don't know, little picture that is not themselves, of course, any picture or anything. So just really simple. It could be just uploading pictures, maybe. It could be something, post here your favorite dish. Again, Padlet is connected to Google, for example. Canva is and you can copy and paste from Google as well. Yeah, so really they don't have to have their own pictures. They can just copy from Google and put it there. So I would say just I've done the same. I just tell them, guys, let's try this. Let's see how it works. I promise this is going to help you. So let's do it. It works. Thank you, Clayda. Yes, thank you very much.
Moving on, the next one, Rosa Mariela is asking about these tools is very useful in place that there is internet, but what kind of tools should I use in rural place?
So if it is a rural place, I would say Canva, I would maybe not use it because Canva needs a really strong connection. ChatGPT, I don't think it needs a strong connection, but I would say Padlet then. Padlet doesn't need a strong connection. It works. Even if the connection is poor, it works. It's a really simple, I would say, platform. So I would avoid maybe Rosa Mariela. I would avoid Canva because it would be just really slow. But Padlet, it would work. It would work. So it really needs really little internet and it will work. And again, you can find everything inside Padlet already. So you don't need to be logging from other places. You can just look for pictures, generate them, images, anything from inside Padlet. So I'd say give it a go, and I'm sure it's going to work. And then good morning. Yeah, Janina, I think she's just connecting for the next. Okay, thank you. Padlet first then. Yes, I would suggest Padlet. And please connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me. I can make a tutorial for you. I don't mind. And I can send it over. I don't mind making a tutorial. And, I'm always helping my colleagues as well. And then they end up loving Padlet and say, how did I not know about this free platform that is so easy to use? Okay.
Thank you. Regarding the implementation, can the projects be done with lower levels?
Yes. I would say try to, the projects, for example, if it is the photographer of the year, yes, it could still see a little picture, yes, and for them, they could, just really describe it in a very simple way, maybe teaching adjectives, yeah? So, and why should I choose them, it could be also feelings, yes, I remember I did it with lower levels, so, for example, if they had a picture, how is this person feeling? They had to talk about how the person was feeling, where was the person, what's the weather like, you think, little simple things, and then they would choose the best one as well. Oh, I like this the best because there is a bird here. Oh, okay. So they would still do it. So you could use adjectives, you could use nouns, you could use simple sentences, for example, that they can describe their pictures. The idea is that it's their pictures. So I would say that's key for lower level learners, that they are the ones that bring a picture from home and just give them a theme. For example, if it is the photographer of the year of fruits, then everybody get a picture of fruit, maybe in the supermarket, maybe somewhere, and they will involve the parents. They will say, I need a picture, the best one in the supermarket where they are selling fruit. And, so it could be that. So just give them a theme for lower level learners, and that works, I think. I tried them here with, the students, and they just giving them a level. It could be animals, it could be fruit, it could be anything, clothes maybe. So, and they can take a picture. Hopefully that answers your questions. With Padlet, the students need to get involved with the use to use its tools. I think that is a comment more than a question, I think. Please, just Percy, tell me if I'm wrong. Need to get involved? Yes, with Padlet, they need to get involved. And you will see how the students, they really get involved. It's just such an easy tool. And it's a live platform, I think, because they can give likes and thumbs up. It's like they feel like it's social media, basically. So it's great. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Maria. Maria Della, I think, yes. And Calvin, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Gisela. Unfortunately, we have run out of time for more questions. Thank you, Gisela, for sharing your expertise with us today. And thank you to everyone in the audience for your participation.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will take a few minutes break, and we will begin our next sessions at 10:05 a.m.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you are doing well and have been enjoying this session so far. We will now move to our next session, and it's my pleasure to welcome Romy Larissa Rivera. She is a dedicated educator with strong background in primary education and English language teaching. She holds a degree in primary education and a degree in English teaching language, and a master's degree in higher education with over 21 years of experience in the ELT field. She has had the opportunity to work in various educational settings, including public and private schools, language centers, and at universities. She has taught English to students for all ages, including blind children, children with special needs, blind young adults, and has served as school academic coordinator, teacher trainer, and presenter. She won a scholarship from the Peruvian government to study at Arizona State University, where she specialized in teaching English. She has also had the privilege of working as an English teacher advisor for the state schools in Cusco, delivering workshops and personalized advising. She has served as a teacher trainer for Unidad de Gestión Educativa Local de Cusco and Dirección Regional de Educación de Cusco, and as a coordinator of Andina USA in Peru. Currently, she is working as a permanent teacher at Victor Raúl Aya de la Torre State School in Cusco, project consultant for Kipu Institute, English teacher at Andina University of Cusco Language Center, and San Antonio Abad National University of Cusco Language Institute. So welcome, Romy. Thank you for being with us today. And yeah, the floor is yours.
I just, sorry. Thank you very much, Juan, for that introduction. And I want to thank the British Council for this great opportunity to let me be here in front of you and share the things that I've learned through the years and the experiences I had the chance to live and talk about diversity today. Okay. And I want to say hello to everyone, wherever you are watching us from. I hope you enjoy this session. As Juan said, I am a teacher in Cusco, and I have the pleasure to share something about diversity today with you. And I hope the things that I lived, that I learned, and I designed through these years of experience may help you in your day-to-day activities as teachers here in Peru or wherever you are. Okay, so we're going to start to warm up the room with a quick question. We're going to talk about diversity today, and I want to ask you a question, and I want your comments in the chat. Do you prefer a class with a diverse environment or a class without diversity? I want to see your comments in the chat. I'd like to see your comments in the chat with or without. You just need to write with or without. Okay? I'm gonna wait some comments from you. Oh. Oh, thank you for welcoming. Okay, okay, thank you. With or without diversity? Great, I love seeing your answers. Great, so thank you, Angela. And Ms. Brisaida, yes, great. I'm so happy to see that. Great. Well, I cannot choose. Okay, we cannot choose. I like that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we cannot choose. I like that because, yeah, great. Okay, yes, with a diverse environment. Thank you. Thank you for your answers. Thank you for participating. Okay, and now let's try something. Look at the pictures and tell me, which one is a diverse classroom? A, B? A or B? Both? What do you think? Oh, I like your answers. Yeah, excellent. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for your participations, and they show that you share ideas with me about diversity. Yeah, we are real teachers. We live this day to day in our classrooms. Okay, some says A, some says B. Okay, so I want to go back, and I have the second question. This is, what does diversity mean to me, to you, and to the educational field? What does it mean? Yeah, you don't need to answer. We're just going to think about it. And now I have your answers here. Thank you. I like it. Roll me. Okay, nearly my tocaya. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So the question is why? Why do we say A or B is a diverse classroom? Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah, maybe with one picture, we cannot be sure how diverse a classroom can be. Maybe we don't know what's happening through their minds, or maybe they are just performing, or we don't know. We don't know with the picture. We have to leave there. Yes, and we need to interact with our students to know how diverse they might be. Okay, great. Excellent. I love it, Rocio. Okay, now I want to share our schedule for today. What are we going to see today? We're going to discover a little bit diversity if we are still curious about it and what to do in our classrooms with that. I'm going to tell you a personal story about it. Maybe some people that already know me know this story, but you're going to hear it again. But the ones who don't, I hope you enjoy it and learn from it, as I did. And we're going to take the diverse approach into our classrooms. And I hope you also like it and maybe find it useful for you. What is diversity? As many of you already said in the chat, we all are different. We have different brains. We come from different backgrounds. Diversity is the range of human differences, and that's it. So it may include race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, social class, physical ability, or attributes, religious or ethical value system, national origin, or political beliefs. So we all are diverse. We live in a diverse world. But maybe something that maybe many teachers are worried about is not diversity in it, but when we have to face something in the classroom, when we see students that maybe are not going as fast as the other students, that are behind, and we maybe don't know why this is happening, or maybe we know and we don't know what to do. Yeah, in our classrooms, we may have students with special needs. And what are special needs? So the SEN, special educational needs, refers to educational challenges that require extra help. They need extra help. Yes, modifications to ensure a child or an adult can access to benefits from education. So I highlighted these words, challenges that requires extra help. They are not limited to any specific condition, but they may make it difficult for the students. They hinder a person's ability to learn effectively in the traditional way. Yes? What are they SENs? Maybe we know them, we don't know them. We're going to see. Common examples of SEN are dyslexia, dyscalculia, ADHD, autism, speech and language disorders, emotional or behavioral difficulties, anxiety, depression. These are special needs. And sometimes we have students with that, and we don't notice, and we don't know, or even the parents haven't found a diagnostic for them. We don't know. We just have the student there with some challenging situations that hinder them from learning. And on the other hand, we have some students with disabilities. So what's the disability? It's a physical, sensory, cognitive, or mental impairment that substantially limits an individual's ability to perform one or more major life activities, such as walking, talking, seeing, hearing, learning, or caring for oneself. Disabilities are often seen as permanent or long-term conditions that significantly impact a person's day-to-day functioning. And sometimes we have students with disabilities in our classrooms. And maybe we have planned an activity in the yard, and now we see a student cannot leave the classroom, has a broken leg. Could be temporary condition, or maybe my student is on a wheelchair because of her permanent condition. What to do? Okay, so I just wanted to show you some examples of disabilities. We're not going to develop any of them. Just have physical, sensory, cognitive, mental, and some chronic. Okay, in Peru, there is a service of support called SAE, Servicio de Apoyo Educativo, that has been working for about 2 or 3 years, but it is working in pilot schools, not in every school, and it is in its beginning part, I'll say. They are just trying to train teachers or show them what diversity is, and to help us to feel empathy for them, and they are on that step right now. So far, that's what I know about SAE. But I don't know if you are Peruvian teachers, the Peruvian teachers who are here can say if SAE is in your schools, or have been your schools last year, or you heard about it at least. I don't know. I don't know. But, well, what can we do meanwhile? Yeah, maybe something just says, no, I never heard about it. Yeah, it exists. But as I told you, it's only for pilot school so far. And what can we do until we get some support? Because we feel supportless when we're in the classroom and have a student with special needs or with disabilities, and sometimes we might be very creative, but we may need some orientation. Yeah, okay, I'm not a specialist, but I'm just going to share what worked for me and still works. I'm going to share with you a personal story. What you're looking at is a photo of Nuestra Señora del Carmen, SEBE, which in Spanish, SEBE means Centro de Educación Básica Especial. So it says, para niños con discapacidad visual, sordoceguera, multidiscapacidad, in San Jerónimo, Cusco. I had a chance to work as a volunteer here in this school when I was 18 years old, thanks to my friend Maria Cristina, who told me that volunteers were needed there. And I was very curious about going to that school because she told me that it was for blind students, blind children, and I couldn't imagine, but I wanted to go. I was very willing to go there as a volunteer. I remember the principal told us, asked me to come one day at 1 p.m. And I was at university at that time. And I went there. And when I go to the door, you see the stairs. I went upstairs. The door was open. I entered and nobody was there. Nobody at reception. I went and I say, hello. I wanted to see somebody, but nobody. I went through the corridor and I found the yard and nobody there. I saw the classrooms. They seemed to be empty. And I was wondering if I had got confused about the day or the time, because in those days, I'm talking about 23 years ago, I didn't have a cell phone to call and ask for more information or write a message. So I decided to walk in and be sure that nobody was there and say, well, I was here and nobody was there and I'm going to leave. But when I was in the middle of the yard, somebody touched my arm and said, excuse me, miss, covering her face like this. Excuse me, miss. And I looked at her and she said, can you help me? I can't find my eyes. And I said, oh my gosh, your eyes? I repeated, I said, yes, miss. You can imagine the thousand of ideas that came to my mind. And I said, the only thing that I could say is, what color are your eyes? And she said, brown, miss. And I started to look at the floor, wondering how could her eyes would look like. And I found some glass eyes on the floor. Actually, they were brown. And I cleaned them with a piece of cloth that I had to clean my glasses. And I handed her eyes and said, here you are, your eyes, I found them. And she picked them up. And then look, in quotation marks, she said. Thank you, miss. Come with me, she said. And I was really confused. And she took me through another corridor to another space where there was the canteen where the students were having lunch with the principal, and other teachers were helping the students eating. And I was very surprised, and the principal told me, congratulations, you passed the test. Now you know, Jimena, what's the name of the girl. And I was, I don't know, very impressed. I couldn't say a word. And the principal said, you passed the test. Now we know that you can be a volunteer here, because this is not for everyone. Not everyone wants to see people who has disabilities or who has problems to see, to eat, or maybe they have a tumor on their faces, on their in their eyes, and their eyes look like a big ball there. Not everyone is prepared for that. Yeah, we need someone who wants to stay here at least for 1 year. And spoiling the story, I stayed there for 3 years. I really loved the experience. I learned there a lot of things. I may say that that was the very, very strong rock where I built on my career. I worked as a volunteer first with kindergarten students, then I went with early stimulation students, and there I became an English teacher, thanks to a student who was 4 years old, who had hydrocephalia, who was an autistic person with a deep autism, and I found a lot of things to learn there. I'm going to tell you another part that was important here, that when I worked there, as you see, it says multidiscapacidad, so multi-disabilities. They were not only children with problems with their eyes, or blind children. They were also blind teenagers, young adults, and also blind teachers. Yes. And my first job, as I told you, was with the kindergarten. Then I went to early stimulation children, and I had the students from different ages in the same room. They were in the room, not in my classroom, not because their age, but because their abilities. And that's a key word that I want you to keep for later, because I had, for example, a student who was 14 years old, but was still in kinder, and another 9 years old who was still in kinder, another 3 years old, 4 years old, who were in kinder too, where we learned some abilities for real life living, to try to be as independent as they could be according to their abilities. And there, I have some photos when I was very, very young. Here I am with some of my students. As I told you, I became an English teacher here because, well, that's a long story. We don't have time to tell, but because one of my students who started to sing the songs that I taught him, and the psychologist luckily listened to me and said, "Hey, Romy, you speak English." I said, "Yes, I do. Don't you want to help us with the project?" And I helped them with the project. They wanted to open a kind of small academy or workshop for students who were at university or couldn't get their degree, at university because they didn't have their English certificate, because they couldn't attend to normal classes, or they couldn't even learn, because, you know, sometimes our English teaching is so visual and they couldn't see. And we had our first group. I had one of my students is there. I am in the first group with one of them who is just next to me. We opened a class, and I had to prepare. It was so challenging for me to prepare material for blind students. Many people there was so enthusiastic with the idea, and they wanted to be part of my class. I remember some teachers, blind teachers, wanted to attend and said, "I never learned English because, you know, I can see, but now let's learn with you." And I feel so proud. Maybe this person doesn't remember me, but I had the pleasure to teach the first blind prosecutor in Peru. Yes. Now he's a successful lawyer and prosecutor in his field, and he got his degree, maybe with the little help of this English, I will say, class that we had for about 3 months. And that was my first experience as an English teacher with blind students. And then the things went on. But things that I learned with them, so you see some of my students, and that's the school location. And what I learned, I'm going to show you this, and I want to ask you, do you know what's this? Do you know what this is? Anybody? Maybe we have a professional, a doctor, a nurse. No? Well, it has its name there. It says hoja cardex. I don't know if you ever use it or seen it when you were at the hospital or something. What is that? What is cardex? So I highlighted the words that I want to point out. It's a cheat sheet that nurses use during shift changes in quickly understand a patient's needs. So cheat sheet. And also it says that it's not part of the official legal medical record. Yeah, I want you to keep these words in mind, because when I worked here at this school as a volunteer, of course we had only 80 students in the room, but we have to work with the students in the morning and in the afternoon. In the morning, there was another group of teachers, and in the afternoon, another group of teachers, and we used to write something about the students in a kind of cardex. For example, I will say, John didn't feel very well this morning. He didn't have lunch properly. He just had a soup. For example, something like that. Or maybe Carmen had problems in the bathroom this morning. Please be sure that she goes again in the afternoon. Something like that. Or maybe Albert was crying this morning a lot. He said he missed his family. Please be very empathic with him today, something like that. And I used to read that, and I knew what to do with them in the afternoon, or to be careful with something about them in the afternoon. In education, I know I am an English teacher who's currently working in public school. I have, nearly 30 students per classroom. I know how we live, and I know that sometimes it's kind of impossible for us to register such as, I don't know, a big book. In education, what are we asked to fill as documents? The Ministry of Education asks or requires us to present. For example, we have two things: the anecdotal records and the auxiliary record of school grades. When a specialist visit our schools, they always ask for, where is your auxiliary record of school grades? Yeah, we have these documents, and I want to say some characteristics of them for maybe somebody who's not from Peru, or who's not an English or a teacher there. The first document, the anecdotal record, is where you write any special situation that happened with the student. And it's usually about behavior. It's usually about behavior, and it's usually for bad behavior. Yeah, the student didn't bring the homework, the student didn't pay attention, the student hurt a friend in the classroom, the student damaged some material, kind of that. In my experience, it works for that. And the other one, well, it had the standards or the abilities, the competences we need to reach, and it's a kind of report for parents, how their children are learning at school, but they're still called, they only say your son has an A, a B, or a C, and it means he has been successful in that, or he's on the way, or he is starting. But sometimes it doesn't tell me about the student, really. I created something that really worked for me. And I'll show this to you. This is my cheat sheet, my cardex. It's not, again, I'll say, it's not an official document. Yeah, it's not legal, it's not required, it's not asked by the Ministry of Education. No, it is something. It's a kind of instrument that I created for me. And it is very related to formative assessment, yeah, because it is about getting to know your students in an easy way, because we have not 7, you can see only 7, but you cannot see only 7 students in the classroom. We have 30, and I have heard from many of my colleagues who have even more students in their classrooms, nearly 34. And I had once, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I have 64 students in my room. So I know it's difficult to get to know our students. And if we are worried about grades all the time, we forget about something very important, is to get to know the student, to create rapport with them. Once they feel so, create the confidence of them on them. And so once they get this, learning happens easier. Yes, because when you know your student, you know what their need, you may identify the barriers, the roadblocks that limit your student, hinder them from learning. this is my cheat sheet. I'm going to show you how this helps me to identify barriers, as I told you. Yeah, so it's a very simple sheet where you write your students' names, and this is the summary of the month because I use this for 1 month or something else. And I have the observation part. Here, for example, is a random name, Yadira, and these symbols, what do they mean? They can mean whatever you want because it's yours and you're the teacher and you're the owner of this. For example, this thunder means to me that she was very stressed that day and she couldn't perform properly in my class because she was very stressed because she had to present her project in the Eureka, for example, an exam. And she was very stressed about it. But maybe the next day we met, she was very happy and relaxed. And that means that she was relaxed. And I didn't want to pull her too much to learn. I just wanted to leave her to rest because she was in a big stress the other days before. Maybe then the happy face could mean for me that she was willing to learn that day, happy and fresh. And again, maybe the crown may mean that she was the queen in the classroom that day. She was brilliant in that session. And in the observations, I write something that is particularly important about her, to know what is going on with her, maybe something special. You know, when you yourself are stressed, worried, or maybe something that you like is happening outside your work, you are thinking of it. Maybe the football match, or maybe my brother is getting married and I cannot go, or something like that takes your mind away, and maybe you are not performing as well as you would like. It happens with our students as well. For example, I wrote, not very confident to speak. That is very particular from her. When she writes, when she reads, it's brilliant. But when she needs to speak, sometimes feels a little bit, I don't know, fearful of what may happen. And I write it. For example, about Ricardo, maybe he likes football. And he's very competitive. When we have games in the classroom, I know he's going to enjoy the classroom. And I can write, for example, I can write about another student. For example, a student with disabilities. I saw that she was wearing glasses. But I found out, looking at her, listening to her, that she couldn't even see well with her glasses. She was like this. Yes, you see, I have a piece of paper here, and when she wanted to read, she used to do this, just like very, very close to her eyes. And I noticed that, and I said, okay, I'm going to write something so she can see well even when she's wearing glasses. And well, that is the way I identify the barriers that stop my students learning. In an easy way, because you can write it on the way. I prefer not using these, but using these in my class, because these help me to get to know my students and know what they need and know what they are interested on and what they will enjoy in class. Maybe the problems they have, I can notice, yes, by observing them in class. And then if I have a large class, as I told you, 30 students, over 30 students, it helps me to remember the ones who have special needs and need more attention, more help, because everything could be very challenging for them. And then, I wanted to show some barriers, some roadblocks that I identified. Yes, for example, accessibility barriers. So when the student cannot, for example, cannot see, as my student, she knows how to read, but she can't read because the size of the letter was too small for her, and maybe I use a 14 or 12 size, maybe she needs a 20 or 24 or 25 size letter. And that's what I need to unblock. I need to find out and then solve. Yeah, maybe attitudinal barriers, maybe not from the student self, maybe from their classmates. Maybe they don't want to work with him or with her, with another student, because they see that they are different or something like that. And we need to see that is stopping them to interact, to learn. We're going to break that barrier somehow. Maybe we can design another activities for them to interact, not only with that person, maybe have the chance to interact with different people. I use the onion ring. I don't know if you ever heard about the onion ring. So you spend only 30 or seconds with one person, and then you rotate and you change the person, and you speak to another person. It helped me a lot, for example, with that attitude barrier when a student didn't want to speak with somebody, especially for any reason in the classroom. Then when we have these curricular and pedagogical barriers, we need to adapt. For example, the barrier I found here was that we need to reach the standard. Why you give an A student if he or she didn't reach the standard? Well, they haven't reached the standard yet, I'll say, yet, but they have gone to an upper standard where they were at the beginning, and they deserve to be clapped. Yes, they deserve to be recognized that they have reached a goal, and they deserve an A. I'm sure if we go on this way, they are going to reach the standard shortly. And the organizational barriers at schools, when say, hey, who is going to do this for this girl who cannot walk, or why don't we move? You know, Juanito has just broken his leg and his classroom is on the second floor. Why don't we change him to the first floor? They say, no, they don't want, it's just 1 month, he can walk, his friends are going to help him. Sometimes our schools don't help with that. Yes, so the organization is not working well. So maybe if we are there, we may say, hey, let's change it. Let's help him to have a better experience during his disability time. Okay, and I'm running out of time. Remember, it's not the learner, it's the barrier. Yes, I want to point out this phrase. Hope you like it. It's not the learner, it's the barrier. Let's find the barriers and let's at least try to help them to overcome them. And another thing, for example, that I use a lot, observation could be a good thing to do in the classroom, but it may have their limitations because we don't know what the student is thinking. At the end of every unit, I ask my students to write, and I ask them to write in Spanish, to answer these 2 questions in Spanish, like a feedback for me. What did you like most about the unit? If you liked the part when we went out and play in the yard, wonderful. If you didn't like anything and it was awful for you, just let me know. And what do you think we should improve? And I said, we should improve it. It includes me, the teacher. So they sometimes may feel afraid to express the real thoughts, the real ideas. So I tell them, do it anonymously. Don't write your names. And they feel free. And they write very honestly what they think, what they feel, and these ideas that help me to improve as a teacher, to be more empathic with them. And this way, I ensure that they will learn because I experienced this through all these years. And when they write in Spanish, at least this part, maybe some students write in English, they make a great effort to do it, and I see their commitment with their learning. But when they write in Spanish, they express their feelings better. Many studies have shown that when you write in your mother tongue, when you express in your mother tongue, you can show your feelings better. And it helped me to read. Sometimes I found very beautiful things, sometimes something that I see and I can say, oh, I'm doing this badly. This student is not feeling well in my class. I need to change something. I need to change that. And it really helps. I really value these pieces of paper. And I hope that you may use them and you like them. And I wanted to comment in the chat again. Have you ever worked with students with special needs? And another question to reflect, did you manage to adapt your material and sessions to your students with special needs or disabilities? Here, it's your creativity. I just handed the tools that help you to identify the barriers. The tools that I created, the tools that helped me. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I want to finish with this final thought, which is when teaching reaches out to all ways of learning, then the school becomes a place for all. And not only the school. We want to create a beautiful, a nice society for everyone, a better world for everyone. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Romy, for such a meaningful and insightful session. We will move now to the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to share them in the chat. To get us started, I would like to share this first question in the chat. It says, can a teacher diagnose a student and determine their special educational needs or disability?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we are not specialists. We are not doctors or psychologists. Well, maybe some teachers are, sorry, I'm respecting. But as we teachers, normal teachers in the classroom, are not there to give a diagnostic. We cannot say, oh, he has TDAH, oh, he has dyslexia. Maybe not. But we can help to identify some characteristics. We say, oh, this student cannot read very well, is struggling with reading, confuses some letters. I can suspect something is happening, and I can report it. And there is a specialist at school, the psychologist, who may see it better and then call their parents and ask them to take his child to a specialist. But at least we can identify.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Romy. That's important clarification. Building on that idea, here's another question. What's our role as educators when we identify special educational needs or disability?
When we find or when the parents tell us, hey, my child cannot hear from this ear, please be careful with that, or we have identified it. Our role as teachers is to help the student to overcome this problem, not with therapy or something like that. We don't need to do that. We have to help them with material that allows them to reach the goal. For example, maybe speak to them more quietly, or to spend more time with them explaining something, maybe even drawing, even showing, performing, maybe paying some extra attention to the student. Once we see the other ones are working, and then we go and pay attention to them. That's our role. And of course, if we find it and we don't have the support from the parents, we always have to report to the psychologist in our schools. And that's our job. Remember, we as teachers are not superheroes that can do everything. Even when parents or society looks at us like that, we are not. We're human beings, and that's our role, I think. At least that's what I think.
Thank you, Romy. That helps define the role that teachers can play in creating more inclusive learning environments, right? Let's move to another question related to the classroom practice. What can I do once I have identified the barriers that stop my students from learning?
Okay, once that I have identified the barriers, I have to work on them. Yeah, sometimes I can do something and sometimes I cannot. Sometimes, as teachers, we can design a special material for the children, or at least a special experience for them. For example, in my classroom, I have a student who doesn't write or read as other students from her age in the same room. I won't spend the time teaching her to write or read, but I can help her with the other capacity, which is speaking and listening. She speaks Spanish, and so she can speak English. And I dedicate my time to help her to communicate in English orally once I notice that she cannot write or read as the other students. But initially I saw she's starting to write something, identifying things. She needs therapy. I told their parents, but it's another story with the parents. I'm talking just what we can do in the classroom. And sometimes, for example, I have a student who cannot move in the classroom, who cannot play the games. Sometimes we have some competitions, going to the board or something like that. I have to think of an activity that may include him or her in the activity, but always include. Sometimes teachers said, adapting my material is preparing a special paper sheet for him or her and leave them alone to work on it, a color or something like that. So the student is busy there in the corner working itself, and I said I have adapted material. Could work, practical, but not very empathic. Let's try. I know it's difficult. I am a teacher. I sometimes feel disappointed. I struggle with this, but we are creative. We can do it. We can help our students to feel better in our classroom, to feel integrated, to feel part of our group, our classroom with their classmates. And so in the society, they will be too. Okay.
Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time, Romy. But thank you very much for sharing your experience and insights with us today. And thank you to everyone for joining us and participating in the discussion. Before we close, please remember to complete the attendance and the satisfaction questionnaire. Thank you again for being part of this program, and we hope to see you in the next session of ELT Peru Week. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.